Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about bristlenose plecos. So bristlenose plecos are some very interesting creatures. So basically, they are a bottom fish, a bottom dweller I would say. Well, they can swim, a bit, but they're mostly on the floor or on the side of the glass. But what makes these guys so special is their little sucker mouth. So they can basically, I'll pop a picture up on the screen, they can suck to the glass, and yeah, it's just really cool. They'll eat all kinds of algae and stuff, but do keep in mind, they don't only just eat algae. And I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. But let's start off with the actual size of the fish. So these fish, normally they'll get sold like, well, about this size in the pet shop or in the fish shop or wherever. So that's like around, I'd say 2 inches, which is like 4 or 5 centimeters, something like that. But they do get pretty big, which is around, about 10 to 15 centimeters, which is about this big. That's like, what, 4 or 5 inches? No, yeah, 5 or 6 inches even. So it's, yeah, they get relatively large, but not too big. So then, for tank size, you want at least a decent sized tank. You don't want to keep them in a small 30-liter tank. I mean, you can as babies, but you will need to move them over to, a bit bigger tank. And I would say something like a 100-liter tank, which is, I don't know in what that is in gallons. I think that's something like around 25 gallons, something like that. I think you'll be good enough, so 20 gallon would be fine too. And they should just pretty much enjoy it in there. So the name of these guys is the bristlenose pleco. There's also a scientific name. I'll pop that on the screen because it's just way too hard. Well, it's, I don't know, something ancestral. I don't know. I'll pop it on the screen. So we've gone over the name of the fish, how big they get and that kind of stuff. And what makes these guys so special is that the males have these bristles, so that's what they call the bristle nose. And you can clearly see the males will have these big bristles here on its face, and those are the males. And the females, those don't have the bristles, and that's basically how you sex them as well. So if we go over food now, they eat pretty much anything. So they'll eat like all kinds of algae in your tank, of course, but it's best to also feed them like an algae wafer. Some pellets they'll eat. They'll even eat flake food if it sinks to the bottom. Basically anything. Frozen foods they do love as well, like some bloodworms or whatever. Basically they just eat anything. I would say they are like kind of omnivores, but yeah, they are kind of omnivores really. But they eat more plant-based materials. And let's just go over some water parameters. So for temperature, anywhere between 20 degrees Celsius and like 26 degrees Celsius, they'll be totally fine. They're not too fussy really with the temperature. I've even got them in ponds, so they can go a bit lower, and they're pretty hardy, to be honest. Like, they're pretty difficult to kill. Like, you can make it as bad as possible and they still won't die for some reason. So they are really hardy fish and a great beginner fish as well. And that's why I can recommend these fish to, beginners and stuff like that. Although, keep in mind, like I said, that you need the bigger tank because they eat a lot, but they also poop a lot. So, and that's the misconception people have often, is they think, oh, they just, clean my glass and clean the algae and stuff. And yes, that's true to a certain extent. However, they do pollute the water a lot with their poop, basically. And so you'll also need some good filtration, to take that out and detoxify it. As for water parameters, I wouldn't stress about that. That's totally fine. Nowadays, they're so bred and they're like localized into the hobby. So wherever you get them from your local fish shop or stuff, the water parameters should match, and that should be totally fine. So seriously, don't worry about that. Let me just quickly go over what I think how many should have in a tank. So I would go, if you're buying juveniles, so little ones like these, I would get maybe like a group of maybe like 2 or 3, something like that. You don't need too many, it's not crazy amounts. But I do think when they're in a little group, they do enjoy it. So just get yourself a few there and you'll be totally fine. I think I've gone over pretty much everything care requirement wise. So now it's time to go over to the breeding. Now I have actually already made a whole video on how to breed these guys. A whole step-by-step tutorial, and I'll link that up here so you can go watch that after this video if you want. But let me just break it down into a nutshell. So it's basically you have a male and a female. The way to sex, I already told you, the males have the bristles and the females don't, and they develop those bristles, I would say around, once they are like around 7 centimeters, so that's like what, 3 inches, 4 inches, something like that. then they start to develop those bristles, and the ones who do are the males and the ones who don't are the females. And that's how you can sex them. But like I said, best thing is, well, or you can buy an adult proven breeding pair, or just a few juveniles. Take like 4 juveniles, and I'm guaranteed, you know, you'll have some males and some females. Now they do need to be around 1.5 years. Some in my experience at least, they need to be at least a year. I would say 1.5 years or even 2 years before they start to breed. It can differ a little bit. I have had some who start to breed at like 1 year, and it just differs a little bit, so keep that in mind. They do need to be pretty old. However, they are really simple to breed, so you just need a male and a female, and you need some kind of cave. So, you know, they like to hide in a cave, or even some wood structure or something. I would definitely have some wood in the tank, by the way, because they do like to also like graze on it and stuff, and it's pretty good for them. It helps them digest their food. But yeah, just, you know, you need like some kind of hiding cave. Then the male will be in there, you know, cleaning everything out. He'll trap the female then in there. The female lays the eggs and all that kind of stuff. And then the female will go out and the male will take care of the eggs. So then in like a couple of days the eggs will hatch, and then they will be in the wiggler stage. So that's basically the egg sac, you know, the yolk sac with just a little tail wiggling. And then take like another week, and then the baby wigglers will turn into actual baby bristlenose fry. And from that stage onwards you can feed them same food as you feed the parents really. You can keep them in the tank that you've already got them in, or you can, you know, you can take them out and separate them out. That brings me on to another point, which is actually tank mates. And the tank mates, you know, these guys are really friendly and they are community safe and whatever. So you can keep them with pretty much anything, so definitely do that as well. I mean, you can keep them on their own if you want to, but yeah, they pretty much, you can keep them with any type of fish. At least in my experience, they have dealt well with them. And also for plants, you know, you can keep any type of plants with them. They'll not eat your plants. Some people think they do, but they actually don't. They'll leave your plants alone. Alright, so I've gone over, you know, pretty much everything. How to care for them, tank size, you know, tank mates, all that kind of stuff, breeding even. Like I said, you can watch the video about the breeding for a more in-depth tutorial on how to do it. But I think I've told you pretty much everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.